And then we'll do another split section real quick here. And so oh wait, yeah. So if you've never seen that before, positioning guide, I do talk about that for my positioning guide. The distance of travel allows for more damage to be had. And so you're min-maxing Malakato, but it does increase your likelihood of holding. And so let's go nope, not this one. I wanted Grove. Here, I like buzzes for this. Okay, so splits and how splitting can be done, and how you do range splits. And so I think this should work. So traditionally, we'll just jump right back into it. Let me just take a sip of water. All right, traditionally, okay, mental reset. So the reason why I say you want to split usually left side rather than right side is that at the end of the day, you can control how sends are distributed a little bit easier on the receiving end, excuse me, rather than the other way around. So if you split on right, you're more likely to receive large mercenaries more consistently. And I think I can just quickly show this. So let's say here on wave 1, this is unrealistic, but let's say you're receiving a dino and a snail. You'll notice that the dino will go right in this situation as the snail goes to the left-hand side. And this can be very easily repeated and seen consistently. So what can happen is if you build, like, let's say this was your better units are on the right, and you have a split such as this, right? Similar to how I just had it on the opposite side. What will happen is the send will always go to your right side, no matter what. And the reason why you then build on the left is to try and take that send and cause it to go on the right side as the receiver, right? You're more able to dictate what's happening on the waves. And so let's go to wave 8 here, and I'm going to showcase something that's a little bit more extreme, but is potentially possible and something you should keep in mind. So let's say they've saved on you for a really long time, and you're like, you know what? They're going to ghost knight me. These guys, they always ghost knight me on 8. So what you can do here is, let's say your split was like this. You had, you know, a handful of units here on the left. You got, I guess, I don't know, you have 3 canopies somehow. You have 1,075 value, right? You're like, you're really rearing and ready to go. You thought they were going to send 7. You get another canopy. It's your best tank. And you're like, okay, if they send me a tank, like a Ghost Knight here, there's no way I'm holding, right? There's no way this is going to hold, no matter how good I look. I mean, you know, you'll see here, the Ghost Knight comes on to my canopies. My canopies never do anything. They just sit there and they look dumb, right? And so you'll see here the Ghost Knight just tanking forever. You'll never see it dying. And then what will happen is, you know, you just leak more than you probably should with 1,000 value on wave 8. Right? And so let's go here now and let's say, all right, you know, wave 8, it's coming. That Ghost Knight, it's going to be there. Boom. A single buzz. All right? Single buzz. No longer are your canopies sitting there looking stupid, stuck, sitting behind that canopy. Not the canopy, the Ghost Knight, excuse me. Now they're hitting the wave, at least for a split second. I mean, you're still going to leak, but the whole point is that you're able to then dictate where things are going to go, right? And this is, I think, really obviously seen on, you know, any situation where they can then send you a large unit. Now, the thing is it's not necessarily the first unit you send and receive, it's the most cost Mythium-wise unit. And so if you send Ghost Knight Siege Ram, the Siege Ram will go right, Ghost Knight will go left every single time. It doesn't matter what gets sent first, what matters is the cost of them. And so you can see here, they went right and then it went left. And now the reason why you don't want to, let's say, have the majority of your build on the right-hand side here. So let's say, you know, Flight, this is dumb. I like to build on the right side. The right side is the best side of the lane. You know, I'm really, really good at building on the right. I always seem to know what I'm doing. You know, and you're like, you know what? They're going to send me a big send here. I'm going to build an upper split here on the left, right? To stop that Ghost Knight. I'm going to stop that Ghost Knight, Flight. They're not going to get to me. Well, he sends you a Ghost Knight and a Snail now, right? Because he has enough to get that Snail out. Watch what happens. It will always go on the right side, which then gives the sender the ability to dictate where their sends go, which is not what you want. You want to be the, you know, the receiver of the send wants to dictate what's going to happen on the wave. If you give them too much opportunity, it generally speaking isn't going to be very good for you. Just in the long run, right? The more things you can dictate, the more things you can decide traditionally, the better. So, does that kind of make sense, Malacato? That's kind of why you traditionally want to build on the left side, as well as how splitting kind of works, left and right. Now, a common thing that people always ask too is with ranged units, how does splitting work? And I think I'm actually going to not go with the Ranger here because it's a little bit of a longer unit for this. What I'll try to do is I'll go opt for the same thing we just had. So we'll go Sakura here again. And so I think this is a pretty good option to showcase this, or even I could go, that's actually, I'll do Aqua. I think Aqua's a little easier because we just talked about this like 3 seconds ago. And so the biggest thing is that every individual ranged unit is going to be slightly different. Every ranged unit has a little bit of a difference when it comes to movement, attack range, etc. The circles are a guide. They should not always be taken for gospel. So, for instance, let's say you've got your Aqua there. Technically speaking, it claims 4-back is correct for Aqua. And so let's go wave 4 here, because this is an easy one to showcase. On wave 4, you've got Aqua. You'll notice that like all of the left-hand side goes to the Aqua, and it's only the right-hand side of the wave that ends up going to the Warg. And so what ends up happening here is the Aqua's range just isn't exactly the same. That's what I'll do here. So the Aqua's range is not exactly the same here. If you have it too far forward, the Aqua ends up taking way more aggro than the Warg does. And so you'll see in this situation, you have a handful of units that end up going on the Fire Elemental. But if you go 3-back for, say, like wave 6, it will tank, for whatever reason, all and not split any, right? And so this is where traditionally you'll see people say, Aqua, you're going to want 2 spaces, not 3. And, you know, so you'll place in the 3rd space, not the 4th behind Aqua. And so that's where you kind of need to understand individually how the units function themselves. And that takes some time. But once you understand why or how it works, it will begin to make more sense. And that's the same thing for ranged units, you know, like Daphne here. Technically speaking, you'll get a split send here, a split here. But if you go, you know, about here, or maybe even here, this will cause a split on the right-hand side and still give your Daphne some aggro, just because this is inside of the circle, right? The circle is generally your rule of thumb, and then if you don't want it to take aggro, just build up from the circle, right? So if I build here, the Daphne should not take any aggro, right? Because I've got a unit far enough forward that it should run in front of the Daphne prior to the wave getting to it. Now again, ranged waves, that becomes a little different. You do need to build farther forward, whether it be just tier 1. Sometimes you'll see me go boom boom on wave 8, for instance, when I want to make sure that my Daphne, my Zeus, my, I don't know, backline damage dealer, or my frontline damage dealer doesn't take aggro, right? And so if you're inside that circle, you're good. If you're outside that circle, then it will take aggro and leak. right? Or not necessarily leak, but take aggro. And so, you know, this is a rough setup for Daphne. You've also got things like Zeus, right? Zeus, I traditionally go four spaces open. I go Zeus, right? It means that I can build on this line right here. So this, you know what I'm saying. So this here, Pee-wee, if it was on the wall, that's the correct placement. And then for Zeus, for instance, you go 1, 2, 3, 4.5 with this placement. So like, let's say this is your tank. You want your tank to be here. And then the Pee-wee here. This will then split tank pretty accurately. The Zeus will take a little aggro. The veteran will take the majority of the aggro. And the Pee-wee will take a little bit at the end of the whole situation. So that kind of all makes sense, Malicato? I think that kind of goes over at least splitting in general. How I think you should split, where you should split, etc. Every individual unit's different though. So like, for instance, I really don't think Tempest is truly as far as they claim. Is this claimed here? Because if you place, technically speaking, right here, this is split tanking. Right here, the Tempest takes full aggro. And I don't know exactly why that is. I used to build it down here, right, and not understanding what I was doing. But let's say this is a Windhawk here or a Wildshroom, etc. You know, the Tempest in this situation will split tank with the unit here on the left. But if it's the one down here, it will full tank and die. So Sandbox is your friend. Don't be afraid of going into Sandbox and kind of understanding what's going on in the holistic sense. But yeah, that's kind of it. I'll do the little outro here. Like, subscribe, comment below if you want to see something else, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. I'm just doing that so I have that done already. Yeah, so that's kind of that. Are there people who want to do coaching? I know we're kind of slow today. I know Doofus is on, so Doofus got on before me today, so it's always a little slower when he's on. Otherwise, we can just keep playing ranked. I don't really care. Magic Ballast, thank you very much for the follow. Seems like we're kind of having a slow day, so I'll just jump right into ranked. Back again. It's all good, Pure. Enjoy it, man. And by enjoy it, I mean, you know, have fun. Keck.